Welcome to another episode of the Get Out Swim podcast. I'm your host, Seamus T. Quinn, and today I'm joined by coach, clinician, and founder of Swim Like a Fish. Today's guest is Abbie Fish. Abbie, thanks for joining.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I want to start by having you just tell us a bit about yourself and how you see yourself serving the swim community.
Yeah, so it's almost like, where do I start? My life has always been involved in swimming. I started swimming when I was 4, kind of just following my brother's footsteps. I have an older brother and an older sister. I never expected swimming to be like my sport. I was multi-sported and loved playing basketball. I played soccer for like 10 years, and then I did volleyball for 2 years in high school. But I took to swimming because I had a lot of success with it when I was young. And then that helped me get a scholarship to swim in college. And from there, I was like, I'm not sure that I'm going to be a swim coach, but like I've always just loved swimming. And I started coaching, and it's been close to over 15 years now that I've been on a pool deck in a different capacity. And I don't ever expect my life to not have swimming involved in it. So for more of like my mission and goal is like I started my own brand to help kind of bring more technique awareness to the sport and less of the kind of like grind out yardage mentality that we've had as a culture. And so, I've been trying to travel around and bring more video and technique instruction specifically for younger kids and age groupers. So there's less injuries, more success, and a safer environment for everybody to continue swimming.
Yeah, that's great. And so you started Swim Like a Fish, again, your own brand, own company in 2019. So we're, I guess, 6 years kind of in the making, removed from that starting point. So I guess, how have you seen it sort of grow from kind of your initial idea of starting, your own brand and back in 2019?
Yeah. So the initial thought process was I would like to be a digital nomad. And it was like, I want to travel the world and coach swimming and like make money on the internet. And that's going to be like my life. But that was also when this is Ava for everybody who's going to want to know. She's walking across the screen. Was when I was 25. And so it sounded really fun. I also didn't have any like commitments at the time to anyone or anything. And so I was just taking jobs that would help me like kind of build a portfolio to learn how to do that. And also give me experience to like back, if I gave my opinion somewhere, people maybe would want to listen. From that, what I've really learned is, community is important. People are important. And stability is something I've needed in my life. And so as I kind of got more into being a digital nomad, like I told you before we hopped on here, I left club coaching for a while and was strictly doing clinics and camps and like traveling all around. And it was really amazing. I realized I started getting more out of touch with the sport itself. I didn't have the athlete relationships. And I just felt disconnected. And the way to have connection was to be there. And so now I've kind of created more balance with my life, personally and professionally. And I coach club when I'm in town, and I still run this, which allows me to travel all around the world, but I'm just like more stable as a human being.
Yeah. That's really interesting to think about, because the idea is in concept great, because you can work kind of remotely or, travel around to clinics with your background and your knowledge and experience. But at the same time, as humans, we do want a sense of community in the day-to-day and stability, like you mentioned. So it makes sense to kind of reach that point. And so then once you realize that, how did you start to shift the way that you would kind of approach, your company and kind of spreading your time so that you could have more of that? Like, how did that shift maybe work in your favor?
Yeah, I was more intentional with my responsibilities for like at home duties. And so I used to be like a lead coach, was like potentially head age group coach at one point. I got offered a head coaching job, and I was just like, I have to be. The first step was honesty. I was like, okay, so for the limited amount of time that I do have and I want to give, what do I want to do with that time? And then also, what with that time can I do well? And I really realized, like, as much as I like to be in charge, be like the leader, be the person that's going, you can't do that well and also not always show up. And so I had to take a step back. And that was hard. It is still hard to do. There are times where I'm just like assistant coaching and I have my own opinions, right? But I am assistant coaching to someone. So like I am the support staff, and I have to, there are times where I can vocalize those and it's appropriate, but there's other times where it's like, this is not mine, right? Like, this is not my show. Like, and I have to step back. And that is, I think there's like a maturity to that, which is something I didn't have when I was younger.
Yeah, I can relate for sure. Yeah, I think it's, when you have experience of being a lifelong swimmer and also now being on the coaching side, you're seeing different things, you're analyzing technique. It's very easy to have like strong opinions and kind of having a thought on how things should be run or done. So I can relate to that. And so I'm curious as to like, what were some of the unique challenges? I mean, I know you mentioned sort of like time and wanting kind of more stability, but yeah, what were some of the unique challenges to building your own brand and kind of, again, getting to a point that you're at now?
Yeah, I think at first it was like, if you're a very successful swimmer, which in some capacity I had a lot of success personally, but compared to my Olympian friends, I didn't have like the notoriety that they had already built in from their career. And so like I wasn't called by so and so to be a clinician for people because my name didn't sell. And so I think initially there's a lot of people in the swim community that do well, but it's because they have that to fall back on. They have the success or the world record or like the Olympic status, and it elevates them like to start. And so my biggest hurdle at the beginning was like, okay, like I've had success. I've been coached by some of these amazing coaches. I have thoughts, but how do I get people to like want to listen?
Right.
And I had to create that. I had to create the momentum of like, I'm my name means something to someone. And that was a huge challenge. And I did it a lot through social media. I wrote blogs, I was doing videos, but it was kind of like any outlet that I could throw information towards, I was doing that. So my name kept popping up in front of more and more people. And then that slowly trickled into like, I got a speech at or speaking slot at ASCA. And then that created more of a coach following. And so I was like kind of cultivating this before it was like normal to have followings. So people would come to my talks or, like care about what I post. Like there was just like a level of like, people have to know before they even care.
Totally. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Cause we're, like you said, you were kind of ahead of that kind of like curve, as far as now we're seeing so many people on social media that are sharing their content daily and have amassed followings, and they're kind of like the digital nomads. I mean, they have a base, but they're doing a lot of their promotional stuff on social media and sharing, which is really helpful because now you go on Instagram and you can find pretty much anything as like you could have no knowledge as a coach whatsoever and go on social media and start to pick out things that could work for you if you wanted to do it, which is kind of wild.
It is,
but like, so where are you at now with Swim Like a Fish? Again, starting from the point of you had this idea of being a digital nomad and sharing content, very technique focused and whatnot, but where have you built it to where you're at now?
Yeah, so we're very we're global. So like we're all over the world. At first I had the dream of being all over the world. I wanted to be not just US based. And part of that came from, I worked at the race club. And when we were there, I trained a kid from China for a long time that was trying to make their Olympic team. And then I had a family that came over from Kenya to do a camp with us. And so I just loved like the connection point through cultures that happened. And so that was something I wanted. And that's something I'm happy to say we have achieved, but it took quite a few years to get to a place where it wasn't just US coaches calling or our governing body. It's now other governing bodies, which is great. And then on top of that, I've really added in like more levels to like the digital side of things. Like we've grown all of our products. I feel very happy with like what we offer on the website. I'm not like in this build phase of like, oh, this year I'm creating 4 more coaching courses. And that's like my big goal for the year. Like they're all up there. And now we're working on optimizing and marketing and still exposure, but like it's a solid build. Whereas before it was like, hey, I'm building, but I want you to know about this, but I'm still building kind of thing.
Right. Totally. Yeah. So as a company, do you employ like several people that kind of help with some of the social media and like website stuff as well? It's because it's not just you. It's like now you have a full kind of base of people that help, right?
Yep. And when we were growing, this is like another subset of like, okay, I wanted to be a digital nomad. So then I was like the solo entrepreneur and I was like the lone wolf kind of thing. And then I started bringing people in and as we were growing, but then I realized the more people I brought in, the more I had to manage. And that was like a turning point of like, I don't want to manage I don't want to be like doing this. So I do have a team. It's smaller now than it was at its highest point. And that is a lot more manageable for me. It still means I do a little bit more because I don't always have like the hands there, but I also don't always have to hold the hands, which is the key. So yeah, anywhere from like 8 to 12 is what we have in our capacity and mine. And yeah, people help in so many different ways as far as like content creation, publishing, emails, just so we can constantly be around. And I guess I didn't really expect that. I didn't think I was like going to be a manager at the beginning. And now I am a manager. And it's funny, I've had some really bad managers. And so I'm like, okay, thankfully I went through this horrible experience with someone. So now I know like what not to do with my own people. Like,
I get that. How would you describe like your managerial style or how you like to kind of interact with the people you work with?
Yeah, I'm pretty hands off. I'm like, as long as you get your work done, I don't care. I don't care how you do it. I don't care like how your flow, like just figure out what is best for you and get it done. And if you have any questions or whatnot, the door is always open for communication. But I wouldn't say I'm the one who's consistently creating the communication points. I more so allow whoever it is to come to me if they need something. Which is personally how I like to be managed too. I like more space and like a kind of an open creative field. I feel like the best work comes from that versus then I've had managers that have like micromanaged me and nitpicked things. And I was just like, I creatively cannot do anything like that. And then constructively, it like gives me a ton of anxiety. And I'm just like, this is not worth it.
Yeah. I understand that too. Is there anything now that is or sort of current that's like exciting you in sort of your day to day, or what's going on with Swim Like a Fish?
I just got back from Africa, which was really cool. I was there for like almost 3 weeks. I'm running a program through World Aquatics, which is like my first appointment through World Aquatics themselves. And it's a 6-month program called the Future Wave program. And what we're doing is we're hosting clinics and camps all through different countries in Africa to help athletes specifically for the Summer Youth Olympic Games next year. How to kind of improve the pipeline, also improve like the excitement and like the morale there, along with providing coach education. And so next Monday is our first like online session since I've been home. We're talking about training and periodization and how you kind of shift and adjust that through the season plan. But yeah, it's been, I mean, going to Africa was a wild experience. I had a great time. I met some amazing athletes. I also got like a very local view of like living in Africa. And then two, it's kind of like, you know, from where he started of like wanting to be the digital nomad, the solo person, to now like we get called to go to Africa. I'm still like, me? Heck yeah. Like that's awesome. I'm going to Africa. That's sweet.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. And what were some things that you learned or you're still thinking about, I guess, from your time in Africa? Just like some takeaways from being there.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, there's all this stuff with the NIL and NCAA going on here, and that's a big part of our conversation. And it's also a big part of our Olympic movement. And so going to a country that does not have an NCAA, there is a very much more of an earlier expiration date to these athletes' careers. And so they may come to the US, but they may not if they're not good enough. So kind of understanding that there's a huge advantage in the United States for people being athletes compared to other places in the world. Some of that is just structural. Some of that is economical, political, that it kind of opened up my eyes to, I love the Olympic movement. I think it's great that we can get all these countries to come together, but there is kind of like not an even baseline. And that is really hard. And so trying to help that baseline is kind of what I'm trying to do. But you can't fix all those components, but I'm trying to be just a little piece that can maybe help something.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure. Well, what were sort of some of your, I guess, points of emphasis that you wanted to make in through your teaching and coaching when you were there? Like, what were some things that you felt good about sharing with people that you were working with while in Africa?
Yeah, I think like the first one is probably I learned a bit more of like how you can do more with less. Some of that's just Western culture of, you know, we want all the things. We need the buoys, we need the racks, we need we need it all. And you don't need it all. Is it nice to have it? For sure. But it's not a requirement to get things done well. And so I think with that, social media makes it hard because the athletes and the coaches see what they could have. And so there's a little bit of like, oh, well, my facility doesn't look like this, or, oh, I don't have backstroke wedges. So how can I ever do a proper backstroke start? Like our walls are slippery. This pool was built, you know, so there was like a bit of discouragement with the being able to see like the awareness that comes from social media. And so I think as I leaned into the week, it was like, okay, we're going through all the strokes. We're talking about turns and starts. We're doing some training. But it was also like, this needs to be like an uplifting scenario where these athletes do feel like there's a place for them somewhere and they can find it if they want to, versus it was just kind of like, you know, we're forgotten about, or it doesn't really matter kind of thing. And there's one kid in particular, he probably will watch this because he's heavily on social media, and he'll know that it's him, but he was just like such a positive light to me personally through the week. And I've still been talking to him a lot around like how his races are going and what's happening, but he like moved countries alone under the age of 18 to like go swim for himself to improve his swimming career. Yeah, at such a young age. Like I've known people who I swam with in college that moved states, or they went to go train under Bob and they went to his group at like 15, 16, 17. But yeah, to go to a completely different country that speaks a different language, live on your own, like, yeah, I don't think I could have done it.
Sure.
And
it takes a lot of courage for sure. So.
Yeah. I mean, you're not even college age. Like that's crazy. Like most of us go away when we're 18, not when we're 15.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just making me think, I mean, again, this is just, you know, there isn't a choice in where you are born and just from a starting point. But I would say that it's very easy to be sort of narrow-minded in sort of like our culture, just like climbing the ranks and getting to a college program, and then just being very kind of narrow-minded in a US culture of athletics and swimming. And that's not bad, because that's, again, what's relevant to people that live in the US, but also having more of a cultural kind of experience and exposure, like you're mentioning, can really like broaden, I think, your perspective, and kind of just like take a step back and be like, okay, we are dealing with, we're just considering very different and sort of like privileged, just things, in our own like athletic kind of community. So that's just making me think differently a little bit. So
the word privilege is like what came home with me on, like, I didn't choose to be born in the United States, but I was born in the United States.
Right.
And I had a family that could afford to put me to swim practice. So like, it's just a different perspective versus like my reality. I went through that reality. And yeah, I got to work with these athletes that, I mean, there's some very literal safety concerns for where they train in their countries and the stability of their current, like the political sphere with where they are. That I was just like, whoa, like I've never been tracked to a pool, had security like on my toes ever in my life around swimming here. But that's other people's realities in other places.
Totally. Yeah. And so moving forward, will you do more of this in conjunction with World Aquatics, like going to different countries and trying to, again, just like, spread more of your knowledge and experience with kids?
Yeah, I'm actually so excited because the purpose of this program is, this is the pilot program. And so if this goes well and we get good responses and also good ratings from it, the plan is to take it to other federations. So it's through World Aquatics, but it's African swimming. And then it could be taken anywhere. So we're kind of like ironing out some details. I will be going back once, maybe 2 more times, just kind of depending on the funding. And yeah, I'm excited to see, because like World Aquatics does clinics, which is something I did not know. But a lot of times the clinics happen in conjunction to world championships or world juniors. So the coaches get like some access to a facilitator, something, but you have to get there. And that's kind of the key. So it's never really, I mean, for world juniors, it's younger kids, but it's never like the age group side of things. And so this is the first time World Aquatics has dipped their toes and like, let's look at the pipelines, not like the upper echelon.
Sure. Yeah, not just the bigger events. And yeah, that makes sense. So okay, so this is cool. So this will be the pilot program, and see how this works, and then you can kind of go from there, hopefully build from there.
Yeah. Because like kind of going back to what we said earlier, there was a part of me that like when I first started, like you just said, climbing the ranks, like it was like, oh, if I want to be anyone in the swimming world, I have to like coach college, coach Olympians, and like that is the notoriety I need to have a name. And then I started looking at like the reality of college swimming, what's going on there, B, how few female bases are anywhere. So it was like, I didn't, in some ways I didn't want to like rewrite the story, but at the same time, I'm like, why do age group coaches never get any sort of recognition on anything? Like, this is crazy. So I didn't start out with like, oh, I wanted to work with the elites, but now it's kind of like, I really love age group coaching. I love hanging out with my 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
And just because I like hanging out with my 10-year-olds doesn't mean that like I'm not doing a good job or I'm not like worth a conversation with, kind of thing. And I've been trying to normalize that with being like a high profile age group coach in a sense.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Yeah, I think it is. There's pressure if you do want to stay in the swimming world as a career, to go more towards the elite, go towards, a quote unquote real job, which would be in college athletics or, some sort of elite level professional coaching. But it's very demanding. Like it's demanding. It's, a lot of it takes time to like work up the ladder of sorts. And yeah, there's something really sweet to working with younger kids too, and being at the age group level. I mean, I certainly love it. I love it, like you said, working with my 10-year-old, 11-year-olds, interacting with them on a day-to-day basis, and just seeing what like the younger generation of kids are like. I find it like really rewarding to work with too. But yeah, you're right. Like not enough credit is given to age group coaches in that capacity. And you're definitely someone who normalizes that more of like, you can, be a really helpful age group coach and kind of build a connection brand from there too, which is really cool.
Yeah. I would say when it first happened too, it wasn't something like I was kind of getting asked to talk to age group a lot. And I was like, well, this wasn't the plan. The plan was like, I wanted to have the Olympians and like the context there. And I have worked with some very great Olympic swimmers, but I kept going to the pool deck and it was two very different experiences. It's like, okay, now I'm with this higher level athlete who some of them are very open to feedback and some of them aren't. And so it's like a little bit of a dance more versus the 10-year-old that's like raw, doesn't know enough to like outsmart me in a way, but like might be sassy, might not be, like it's just a different communication style. I've grown into really loving age group coaching, even though there was part of me that wanted the status of the other side of it.
Do you find yourself to be more like internally motivated or externally motivated when it comes to?
I am like the most internally motivated person you'll probably ever meet. If stuff happens, I almost never sit in it. Like if it's like an external, like getting this program, I was like, oh wow, I got asked to go to Africa. It's like, all right, get to work.
Yeah, because I remember hearing, I think I listened to a podcast that you were on, and you said like you've always been someone who's just like gone towards a challenge, like it kind of like challenge, oriented. Like even if it scares you, that internal motivation is going to be there to just go towards it and find a way to like make it happen. So it's definitely, I've been that way since I swam. I was like the kid with 100% practice attendance. Like I did all the extra work. My mom is very similar to this, where she gets up every morning and runs 1 million miles. And that's just, I'm programmed like her. I wouldn't say that I definitely did not pick the easy path. Like I was like, we're going to do something someone has never done and we're going to make it work. And even my parents were like, you should just go coach college. Like it's more structured. There's an institution, there's an HR department, like all of it. And I was like, nah. Well, but that's interesting. Yeah. Cause that's also like, I found struggle with it too. Cause I think, again, I tried college coaching. It's still open, and I really enjoyed, again, working with the swimmers that I worked with, the swimmers and divers that I worked with. But I found that the creative side of me was kind of a little bit more boxed in. And that was really hard to kind of like grapple with on a day-to-day, because, you're dealing with recruiting and administrative work and, the structuring practices and that side of things. But there wasn't as much flexibility as there might be in club, or if you're doing your own sort of thing, to be creative. And I think a lot of, coaches want to be creative. So I don't know. I guess for anyone who's listening, that doesn't have to be the path if it doesn't feel right. I guess
I had a really pivotal moment with one of my mentors at a younger point in my career, who's a head age group coach. And he's been a very successful head age group coach, but I was, volunteering at Georgia, getting all the cool swag. And like, I was like, I felt above like his job, even though I was the like volunteer coach. But it's kind of like you embody this thing when you are part of something big, like a huge institution. And he was like, well, what do you even like about what you're doing? And I'm like, I like the clothes, I like the trips, like the short meets are nice. Like I had some valid points mixed in with like other things. And he was like, you really have to look at the jobs and what they are. And like younger is teaching. age group is learning to, higher level age group is learning to train, like college is optimizing and recruiting. And so he's like, you have to figure out what ticks for you versus what looks right or looks cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that is a great way to get to the root of why someone is doing what they're doing. Just ask them, what is making you tick? What do you like about this? I find myself asking those questions a lot, and I think it uncovers a lot too, because you'll kind of find yourself, questioning whether it is that you enjoy doing what you're doing, or if there is something else that interests you more. So, I think that's very valuable. Well, that'll segue to a question I have, because I saw a post on your Instagram recently, and you were sharing this second annual Swim Like a Fish meet. I think you shared a quote there that read, like, you're the luckiest person in the world if you know what you really want to do. And so I guess, like, expand on that, and sort of telling us what that means to you.
Yeah, I think from the internal motivation, I've been kind of trying, I don't know how to articulate this well. So this is the first time I'm going to try to articulate this to you, or anyone. Because I've been so internally motivated, I feel like I spend a lot of time in my head. And I spend a lot of time thinking not so much about myself, but like my impact and legacy and like bigger, broader, like, what am I doing with my life? And I always was like that, but I didn't realize that's not always normal. Like, some people don't wake up and really think about like what they're doing. They might be on their, I get up, I go to work, I go to the gym, and this is like their grind, and they're existing, but I don't know if it's like existing always within their aligning with a purpose. And I fought like the coaching. I was like, oh, I don't think I'll coach. Like, I feel like there was a part of me that was always drawn to this, but didn't want to fully commit to it. And so I was like living outside of my purpose for a while, or trying to make something work that wasn't just like extreme passion. That when I finally dove into it, I was like, I do feel so lucky that I love my job. My job has pros and cons, but I wake up and feel like the life I am living is giving to other people. And that's what I want to do. Yeah.
That really well said. I think it makes me think too, because I know, as someone who is grown up in swimming and has been so in love with swimming from such a young age, that you're constantly also grappling with it, because it's like a love-hate sport. And I don't know if this was the case for you, but like, after finishing swimming at the college level, I certainly had those questions of like, all right, what else can I do to like step outside of coaching, give myself a break? But you always kind of just find yourself back towards, being in the sport and giving back in some way. So I don't know, was there a certain level of like push and pull with like, oh, should I go try something else? Should I come back, that you experienced too?
I give myself a break, and then it went out on my side.
Yeah. Cause I feel like that's how it's been. It's been like, oh, maybe I'll give myself a break. But again, like, this is being of service, in a way that, like, has always sort of manifested to this point. So but I like that, like, lean into that, that purpose. And of course there are pros and cons to it, but also, like, be proud of yourself for being able to like lean into that and share what you live and what you know to others. I think is a great way to think about it. Well, good. And then I wanted to ask, like, is there something, because obviously you're around swimmers and coaches at different clubs at different levels. Is there something that you see club coaches like missing when educating young swimmers? Like, in other words, what should we be focusing on as club coaches?
Yeah, I think there's not, I wouldn't say like a universal issue. I will say that there is definitely, by clubs, very large extremes to what people are receiving. So price wise, like most of the clubs are priced around the same if they're coach owned, board run, whatever. But the delivery of the product is very different. I obviously sit more on like the technique teaching side, heavier for sure. That when I do go to club teams that have success, but they're so much yardage based, I struggle personally with that. So I think if there's one thing age group coaches can do better is they can make sure that they're still creating an open teaching environment for athletes, especially when they're transitioning from like 9, 10 to 11, 12, and they're starting to train, and it doesn't just go straight into training. Because starting to do, like I had a friend who swam at University of Texas. She started doing 3 mornings a week at the age of 11.
Wow.
Like what life is that? Like that's 9 times a week, 11 to 18. And then you're going to go to college. It's just too much too soon. It's too fast. And I mean, she was still great and she could have been great, but I think there was other ways to have made her great than just put her into an engine and hope that the engine continues to run for the next 7 years efficiently.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting to think about because you're right. A lot of the clubs that have had success are known for taxing on, more practices, more yardage. Obviously there's more pool availability in general. But it's tricky because you want to have longevity. Like I think about my goal as a club coach, coaching 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. And I'm like, I want them to stay in the sport. Like they are having fun at this level. They're still learning, and I don't want to like grind them down to them not wanting to be in the sport by the time they reach, the next age group. So I think there's a level to that, to just teaching, reinforcing good habits and, still trying to have fun while challenging them. But another reason why club coaches probably don't get enough credit for trying to balance all of that.
And it's also hard too, because of like, as you grow in the ranks, right, you are rated as a coach based on the success that your athletes have.
Right.
So if we take that down to a 10-year-old coach, if they want to be like the coach, what they care about is not the longevity of the athlete. They care about the seasons that they have that athlete under their control. And if they can prove, oh, this person got 6 state cuts or whatever it is, and I was their coach, therefore I did something right. So it becomes more about the coach than it does the actual athlete and the age of the athletes. If we just base a coach's success strictly on athlete success versus like something like retention or longevity, those could be key factors of like, hey, I coached this person when they're 8, but they're still in the sport and they're 22. Like that's success.
Totally. Yep. That's a good point too. A lot of coaches are going to look at their reputation, defined as how much success are they, like results oriented, how much success have we had? And a lot of it is comparison, just by nature of sort of our culture too. It's, comparison driven. So that's something to think about too, is retention on the other hand. How many people have, gone through and stuck it out. That's something to think about. I was going to ask, what are some of your favorite sort of drills that you're giving your athletes now, or just ways that you like to teach? Are you pulling them out of the water if you're explaining a stroke, or just talk a little bit about how you like to teach and educate the actual stroke mechanic technique of swimming.
Yeah, if possible, the best case scenario is like me, my phone, and a projector, some sort of TV situation, so I can pull out a video. They may not even get out of the water, but they can see it. We can run quickly through it or highlight whatever we're talking about and have them keep going. I do a lot of like pulling an athlete out of the water and helping them like tactile feedback if we've kind of gone through some other steps and they're still not like clicking with it. But I do try to be a little bit less disruptive than I used to be with practice and kind of running through the time that we have with coming in and out of the pool. If it's strictly like a stroke based thing, sometimes I'll just do like additional meetings or make a video about it and shoot that out. And so it's not like necessarily taking away from the practice time, but if there is a day where we're like, okay, today's like an open turn focus. All right, then I want you all to look at this video. And with younger kids, the videos are crazy because it's like you can explain some of this, like elbow your brother, phone your mother, but then you're like seeing all these different things.
Yeah.
But you can show them it, and then they're like, oh, and I'm
right.
like, yeah. And then they go do it, and you're like, double yeah. Like everybody's happy in this scenario.
Right. Yeah. That's good to think about too. I think, yeah, you can explain it as much as you want, but without giving a visual cue, sometimes it's hard to really see them just find it click. For sort of structuring practices for age group swimmers, how do you approach that? Do you like to have a central focus as like, oh, today's going to be more of a breaststroke day, or tomorrow will be a backstroke day? I'm always kind of thinking about, how do I actually want to structure the week? Because especially when they're 9, 10, 11, 12, I mean, I'm reinforcing good habits, and I want to, really emphasize stroke details. But at the same time, like I want to have some sort of theme to the practice. And I guess, sometimes I find myself questioning, like, okay, how should I structure the practice that week,
Yeah, I'm similar to you. I like to do a weekly theme. A lot of times the theme is more around like a training point. So like most recently we did a week of learning to descend. And it's like, what does descend mean? And descend came up every day in different iterations. It could have been like descending with the same interval, descending on forced intervals, descending through 8 reps, descending through 3 reps. Like, how do we actually like try to evenly spread out speed for a 9-10-year-old through whatever that modality is? And then we did it through all the strokes. So I do like I flip sometimes between doing like a, IM order or reverse IM, and every day being kind of a different stroke focus to it being like a weekly stroke focus. Just kind of, I don't know, maybe depending on how I'm feeling, what they're looking like, that changes around. But I mix the stroke focus with the weekly theme and try to hit that through different ways, so that by the end of the week, I'm like, okay, we're descending this 1 through 4. What is the first one at percentage wise? And that I want the kids to be able to be like, oh, the first one is going to be at 40% because it's 1 through 4. Second one's at 60, third one's 80. And then I know that's like, okay, well, that's achieved. Whether it was executed, like they but they're learning what that means.
They're learning.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, totally. I did something like descending, 50s of breaststroke yesterday. It's funny, like how much you'll explain as a coach. And then one of my summers looked at me and goes, okay, so easy, medium, hard. And it's like, yeah, push off the easy, medium, hard. Sure.
100%. Yeah. And I do like to do days, like if I'm doing a fly week, I'm not going to do just straight fly the whole week, right? Like I would do fly pull one day, fly kick, fly timing, breath pattern, like any or all of that mixed in. Or if I'm just doing like, the fly back breast free and like a Monday through Thursday scenario, then I still may have like a fly kick into a fly pull set or something intermixed in that day. But I think I don't think that there's any wrong way to do it. I've seen like the craziest detailed age group plans where I'm like, whoa, I am clearly not on the mark here, because this person is like to the minute planned things out. And then I've also seen very loose plans where it's like, yeah, one day is freestyle, next day is butterfly, one day is freestyle, next day is backstroke, and it works.
Yeah. A lot of ways to do it. No, that's good. What about getting them out of the water and doing, some sort of dry land activation or stuff that can complement their swimming? Because I was having this conversation with another coach yesterday on our staff. Because I'm seeing a lot about, the benefits of dry lands for younger swimmers. And we were trying to think of ways we can maybe work that in. And then she brought up a good point. She was like, well, like if they're multi-sport athletes when they're young, a lot of times like they do have a dry land component already in sort of like based in there, because they're maybe dancing, a couple days a week, or they're running cross country, or and so she was like making a case that it's like there's a lot of focus right now on drylands for swimmers and finding ways, but I think it's because also like that's another way of controlling, if they're just doing swimming, how do we, kind of get them to have another exercise component out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. I saw that point too. Like, okay, I guess it depends if your club is very demanding of you only doing swimming and committing your time to swimming, or they allow for like other sports to be able to kind of train your body in a different way. But yeah, any thoughts on that side of things?
Yeah, we build, especially the club team I'm at, the dryland component into the program as you grow through the program. And so I do think that there's a level of like athleticism, you're teaching younger kid, coordination, understanding what right and lefts are, and like the purpose of warm up. But the intricacy of dryland at a much younger age, I don't really see the benefit of like, oh, it needs to be swim specific to an 8-year-old. So yeah, we do like a activation series with our younger kids. That is a component of dryland, but it's more about getting them like prepared to get your goggles on. Like, let's have our, swimsuits ready to go. And we're going to do some light stretches. So like when they're out of meet, they know that they can do that like pre a race. But I wouldn't say that it has like a major overall benefit for them at that time. It's more of as they are growing through. And then as you get older, there's weights and more of a traditional dryland setting. But I also think the buy-in is higher with those athletes with their ages, which it makes logical sense to me. I never grew up in a club team that did really any sort of heavy dryland. We always did weightlifting in high school. And otherwise we played like ultimate frisbee. Like it was great. I have some of my best like memories, but it wasn't like a structured, I need to do reverse lunges, step up on a box, like do a somersault into a flip turn. Like it just wasn't that. It was just like, how can you be a better athlete? Run, go run, like learn how to run.
Yeah. Move your body in different ways. Right.
Yeah.
No, it's something I guess I'm still trying to consider and think about. What do you have them do? Like, if you're going to kind of gather your kids to start practice, are they going to do some sort of, dynamic warm up before they get in the water? Or is it just kind of like, all right, get your cap and goggles on, everyone in the water for a warm up?
Yeah. So the head coach for the current club team I work for, it came from Carmel, and Carmel's really, really big on their dryland and weight training. Okay. And so they've taken basically like Vern Gambetta's general athleticism model and then filtered it from the top down to the youngest group. And so every group at Carmel Swim Club does some sort of like activation series, dryland before they get in. And so, yeah, with the younger kids, they do have like exercises that they're doing, but those exercises complement what they will eventually be doing if they're still around like at 15, 16 or 17. Because like one of the ones as an example is they'll take their towels as like a senior athlete and they'll do overhead squats with their towels. And a lot of times, 14, 15, 16, you may not have the depth for it. You may not have the ankle mobility because you're always pointing your toes. That we hope to start working on like a deeper squat or duck walks with the age group kids, because then it sets them up to be able to have the mobility to do an overhead squat with a towel for their drylands when they're 16.
Totally. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Getting them primed to be able to do something like that as they get older. Yeah.
Yeah. But we do a lot of I do a lot of games. So like as far as drills and like instruction, like we may come out and talk about the freestyle catch, but I'm not going to stand there in front of a group of 9, 10-year-olds and be like, the propulsion of the angle of they don't care.
No.
Yeah. So we'll be like, we're going to do the breaststroke dance today. And they're like, what? And it's like, we're just literally pointing our toes in and out, but I'm doing it to music. And then they're like, well, this is so fun. And it's like, but we're learning through it being fun too. Yeah.
Totally. Finding ways to make it fun and kind of trick them a little bit. Yeah. What is a piece of advice that you have for young coaches? Like, say you're looking to get into coaching, post swimming and any advice that you would give for that young coach?
Yeah, I think probably the number one mistake, and I'm guilty of this too, is going into whatever coaching job you get and immediately coaching the athletes the way you were coached. Because I think most of us, we swam to the pinnacle of our own careers. And so that was the best point for us. And if we take that current mentality and you throw that at a 10-year-old, it's not going to work. So I was told this quote early on that it was like, I think it was like the first 5 years of coaching, you're like in a fire hose, like you're just like waterlogged, getting so much information. You might go to ASCA, you feel just so overwhelmed because you want to do all these things, but you don't know which of them to do first. And then the next 5 to 10 years, you're starting to adopt a different mentality than the one you learned, but it's not solidified. And so you might be under somebody and seeing stuff and agreeing with some of it, but not totally agreeing with it. And then it's after that first decade that you start really like knowing what your true coaching philosophy is based on the experiences you had through those first 10 years. And then it's after the next 10 years, it's like 20, where you actually realize all the deficits that were in your own coaching philosophy and you work through those to continue to keep growing. Yeah.
Are you someone who likes to write down kind of your ideas, coaching, practices? Are you logging a lot, or are you just kind of going on a day-to-day and just kind of remembering what you do and improvising as you go?
Yeah, no, I always write them down. I like to categorize kind of based on, depending on like the age group level, like what energy system we're doing, how much kicking we've done, like what's the cumulative volume for like a week or a month, and keep an idea there. And I also like referring back to that, like for the next few years. So it's like, okay, hey, we did 30% kicking on average through November. What if we upped at the 32 this year? Does it change anything? So I can get real like nerdy about just like numbers. And I think it's important to be able to know what you've done. So yeah, I was at a very young age, it was like you write down everything. I don't care if you write it or you type it, but you log it.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's always it's a good reference point to have.
We sell like, I think I might have been the only person that was excited to do this, but we have mentors that swim like a fish, Jack Bowerly, Greg Troy, and Mike Bottom. And it dawned on me, I was like, well, we go to ASCA and a lot of people sit in these talks of them and they're like writing every single word down that is of some set that these guys gave. And I was like, why wouldn't we just sell like a season of them? That's a gold mine to a young coach. And I was like, but the best part about this is I get to fly to all of them and go through all of these workouts with them. So I get my own like little mini clinic, whatever, with them. And so I'm like looking at some of this stuff. I'm like, you did that. And he's like, yeah, this kid went this time. They
remember.
Yeah, they remember. They're like insane. Like the legacy coaches are literally, they're factoids of so much information, not just in swimming, but outside of the sport. And they will always tell you, we did a get out swim that day. That person split, blah, 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 to their feet. They had this many strokes. And I'm just like,
how do you?
I got some work to do. Like that's impressive.
How do you remember all of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there an example of kind of like sitting down with one of these coaches and just kind of having your mind blown by, their practices or what they remember?
Yep.
Yeah.
Jack is probably the most anecdotal when it came to what was happening. And he's also very confident, but in like, it was like a subtle confident way. So he knew based off of splits from Gil Stovall before he won NCAAs, that based on these, we would do a set of like 12, 8, 16 50s. And it was one kick, one swim. And it was supposed to mimic the end of a 200 fly. And he worked all through the season with him and another boy on the team to lower the interval, but also like modulate how many 50s they were doing. So eventually they were kicking a 50 with a board on 35. So it was no underwaters, butterfly. And then they were pushing a 50 fly on 30. And they did that like 16 times. And so Jack said, he was like, I actually didn't even know if that was possible, but I didn't tell them that, right? So he's giving them stuff he's not even sure is going to happen. And then it starts happening. And he's like, no one's going to beat this guy. And so they're at NCAAs. He's neck and neck with, I forget who the other guy was from Cal. And they turn at the 150. And Jack was like, I just knew he was going to win. And he won. And then the best part is he made the Olympic team like later that summer, which he wasn't even really a front runner to make the 200 fly behind Phelps. But it was the same thing. He turned at the 150 and Jack was like, no one's going to run him down. This guy has the engine.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just like crazy. I was like, you knew? And he's like, yeah, I just didn't say anything. It's like, cool.
Wow. Yeah. Right. And that's that coach's perspective and eye from seeing it in practice and like just knowing no one's going to be able to run this person down after they've gone through stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Wow.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, how do you like to spend time just like outside of swimming, with what time you do have, or like, what do you like to do for kind of yourself outside of maybe the swim side of things?
Yeah. I think we got into this a little bit before we like started recording, but one thing I've been working on for myself is like balance and figuring out with the traveling and the here and the there and the phone always going off with athletes everywhere. Like, how do I keep me in this too? And it's definitely something I would say I'm not totally great at, but it's like a refining situation now. And so a lot of like me is health. Like I want to be able to take these crazy long flights and then immediately get on a pool deck and do doubles or run a meet. And so I have to like go to the gym, and I do enjoy fitness. So part of that is giving to me, but then it's also like allowing me to have the ability to move for my career. And so I enjoy that. I do like to just sit out. I have a park across the street from my condo. And I like to just sit in the sun and read and just play music and like chill. I decided a few years ago it wasn't worth like, I dove into this whole like meditative subset for a while, and I was like, oh, I need to learn to meditate, but my brain was never quiet, and I had that being the goal. It was like, oh, I just have to have this like quiet head. Yeah, but it doesn't work for me. Like my brain is never quiet, but I do want to be in a situation where like, even if I'm laying in the park and swimming thoughts are coming through, I'm not like trying to force those out. I'm just like letting everything happen. Yeah. And that's been an interesting development for me personally. Yeah. And I love to eat. So catch me at a bakery, catch me at a coffee shop. I'm a foodie. I'm like, okay, what's the coolest thing to go do here this weekend? What festival? And I'll be in the back just carrying a bag of truffle fries, happy as a clam.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. What is your favorite part about coaching and doing what you do?
I think that has changed over the years. Relationships are important. I think the experiences I had were something I wouldn't have gotten had I not swam. But I think now it's turned into more of like, you never know where someone's life is going to end up. And before, mine was always equated to if they had success, then that was a successful venture for me. But I get to mold somebody hopefully into like a better human being through swimming, even if they don't amount to much, quote unquote, in the swimming world. So I take a lot of pride in knowing that I have a relationship built with somebody during their fundamental years, and hopefully I can be a positive impact in that relationship that will help them further down the line when maybe they're not even coming to the pool every day.
Yeah, totally. Last question. Are you a fan of a get out swim? And if so, do you have a favorite get out swim story?
I love the get out swim. We're going to just like pretense that it is like the best thing ever. I came from clubs that always ran a get out swim. I run get out swims, and Jack, my college coach, always did get out swims. Did you want to be the person that was picked for a get out swim? Not always, but yeah. So I'll give you one that I most recently did. So I was in Africa and running this camp, and we had this boy who was pretty quiet all week. You could kind of tell he was from that country, so it wasn't as exciting for him to go to camp and like be away from his parents. So there was a little bit of like a, I don't know, just kind of like a down mentality. And I was trying. I was be like, "Hey man, what's up? How's it going? Like excited for practice?" And he'd be like, "Meh." And I'm like, "All right, well, meh, you know, you too," kind of thing. And we were doing these 50s off the blocks. We had a test set, and his times were just, I was like, this is clearly not anywhere where you would even normally be. I was like, you are not giving the effort that I was hoping for. And everybody else is like, we had one kid that puked after he was swimming. Like they were just putting themselves in scenarios where they were really pushing the envelope. And then he was just getting out and not even like breathing very hard. And so the coaches wanted to do another round of this set. We all like gathered and they were like amped up and they're like, let's do it. People are throwing down times we've never seen. And I was like, I've had enough. I was like, they're done. Like, and we have more of this camp. So like, I'm calling this, but I'm calling this boy out. And they were like, why are you picking him? He's been so bad, da, 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 da. And I was like, because he needs the camaraderie from the group. And I'm going to make the time easy enough that I know he's going to do it. Like I have but I'm going to put him on the spotlight. And I kid you not, after I did this get out swim, he beat it by like a half second. He was a totally different kid for the rest of that camp. Yeah. He was like, hey man, what's up? We're going to practice. And it says like, he had like the confidence of like, yeah, I helped you. I got you out of practice. And if anybody watches it from this camp, here's the true story. I knew that was going to happen. But I did it for a reason. And that reason really showed up.
Totally. Oh man. Yeah. It's amazing how much that can change like psychologically for an athlete. Case in point. Yep. Yeah. Amazing. Love it. Well, Abbie, thank you for giving your time to be able to come on the podcast and, just appreciate it. Appreciate our conversation. And if there's anything you'd like to add, now's the time. But other than that, it's been great.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out too. I'm always very happy to see, as someone who was kind of like dabbling in media before this was a thing in swimming, other people coming to and putting themselves out there. So like, good on you for doing this. It takes a lot of confidence and just, I don't know, you have to be willing to come with the backlash of it as well. And that's a hard thing to grapple around. So yeah, if anybody wants to connect with me, feel free to visit my website, swimlikeafish.org. I'm also on all social media platforms. I'm sure we can maybe like link that into the chat box or whatever afterwards, or the commenting section. But otherwise, yeah, I'm an open book. So if anybody needs anything, including you, let me know.
Definitely. Love it. All right. Well, thanks, Abbie. And yeah, best of luck with everything the rest of the year.